Welcome back. Ever heard of female Muslim athletes? Well, it's not surprising because there aren't many. So how do we change that? How do we empower more Muslim women to kick butt and take names? Well, meet kickboxer Roxana Begum.
I had a lot of inner conflict for many years when I first began the sport. I felt that I was maybe going against my religion, and it really used to tear me apart. I realized that I was living in a double life. One that was a nice traditional girl at home, and the other where I used to come to the gym, and that was another side of me. Initially, when I first began, I actually kept it hidden from my family simply because I was afraid that this sport will come to an end for me.
Well, not only is she the only Muslim woman to become a national champ in her sport, she's taking it a step further with a new line of hijabs for athletes. I'm honored to welcome British champion Roxana Begum. Roxana, thank you for being with me tonight.
Hi, thank you for having me on the show.
Roxana, will this change the game for Muslim female athletes?
Definitely. I think having a role model would certainly break down barriers, and also having creating accessibility for them to engage in sports without feeling as though they need to compromise on their beliefs.
I wonder though, Roxana, because as I look at you today, you're not wearing a hijab. And then when I look at you in the videos, you're not wearing a hijab. So when you compete, do you wear one?
I actually don't wear a hijab myself, but growing up as a strict Muslim in a very traditional household, it was one of the things that could have made all the difference for me starting out my career as a kickboxer. My family didn't approve of me initially doing a sport that is male dominated, and felt that it wasn't very ladylike, and which is why I understand how important it is to break down any kind of barriers to help Muslim women engage in sport, have a healthier lifestyle, learn martial arts, and protect themselves.
I think it's a fantastic message, and I would really love to see this catch on. I'd like to see more Muslim women take part in athletics. I think it's one of those great ways, as you mentioned, to break the boundaries of what's supposed to be a submissive culture. I wonder, though, when you're competing, you have your arms out, and you oftentimes wearing a sports bra and shorts. So for other Muslim women, even if they wear the hijab, will they have to change the rest of their garments as well to fit the religion?
I don't think so, because at the end of the day, a lot of Muslim women initially need to just feel comfortable and feel empowered to go into the gym and be themselves and feel confident just taking up a boxing session or a tennis session, allowing them to feel confident in their own environment and in their skin. So that's the first step. In terms of competing, you have countries such as Iran and Iraq and Turkey, Morocco competing, where their national dress is designed and accommodating for their beliefs. So it shouldn't be a problem. At the end of the day, for me, as a Muslim, I feel as though it's a connection between you and God. So I want to do it with the right intention. And there is a dress code. At the end of the day, it's representing your country and making your country proud.
It's interesting because for a lot of Americans that don't understand Muslim culture, that don't understand culture in Arab countries, we look at a female Muslim athlete competing and we think in countries like you mentioned, like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Turkey, we sit back and think, would those countries even allow Muslim athletes, female Muslim athletes? Do they support that? Is that something that if you do want to become a kickboxer, is that easy to do in Arab countries? We know that you're in Great Britain, but in the Middle East, is it plausible?
One of the things that I was fascinated with was the fact that the first year I got selected for Team GB representing Great Britain at the World Championships, the IFMA Muay Thai Championships, which was held in Thailand, 2009. And I was fascinated the fact that you had Iran, who had a full squad of female fighters. You had Turkey with a full squad. You had Morocco, who has strong female fighters. And it was shocking that us, Great Britain, here, we only had half a squad of female fighters. So I looked at my coach and I was amazed by the fact that people think Muslim countries are backwards in sport. In fact, they are actually more progressive than we are in Great Britain. So that was certainly an eye-opener for myself.
Well, it's an eye-opener just hearing you talk about it. So that leads me to ask you this. What do you think the most common misconception is about Muslim athletes or Muslim women in general?
I think people kind of feel as though women are not as competitive and they have stereotypes. But as you can see, that I've broken down many of my own barriers, and nothing is impossible. It's just having the mindset and setting yourself small goals, manageable goals, and, you know, not losing yourself in the process, just finding yourself and be passionate about something and pushing forward. You know, you don't have to lose your identity if you're a Muslim female doing sport. You don't have to do that. And that is one of the reasons my family have now come around to it, because they can see the fact that I'm still the same person. All I do is apply myself in my sport, and I'm only trying to be the best that I can be.
Roxana, it's such a positive narrative that you're bringing to light. I think it's fantastic. I hope that your line of hijabs for athletes will catch on, and I hope that more women will take to this sport, because you're right, it's a fantastic way. And I love the eye-opening segment that you brought to me today, because it's something I've never seen before. Thank you for everything that you do, and thanks for being with me tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Coming up next, Blue Jays manager John Gibbons is catching hell for his political incorrectness. Well, I happen to have some final thoughts. Keep it here.